Hello and welcome to Rice YouTube channel. My name is Zebatu Shaha, and in today's editorial explain video, we are going to talk about this article. The article which surfaced into the today's Hindu newspaper of 24th of June. Second question, what is this article all about? The article titled India's Patchy Industrial Climate Strategy is all about the target and ultimate goal of net zero by India. So it is this article will help us in GS paper 3 environment, and most importantly, if a question from this will ever appear in the mains paper, the question might look like this. The question which is written in the form of model question. Industrial decarbonization is critical for achieving India's net zero. Examine the limitations of India's current situation or current industrial climate strategy and suggest measures to improve emission mitigation across all the industrial sectors. Now, you might be wondering, what is the title of our article? The title of our article is India's Patchy Industrial Climate Strategy, the missing link in industrial decarbonization. Now, why there is a missing link, we will see in detail. Before that, I would like you to give a brief idea that what were the core logic behind drawing the article or making the article. We have pointed out all the important facts from the article which an aspirant must know, and from that key topic, key themes or key ideas, we have formed a holistic article in form of answer writing, so that the article can be ready-madely, or the article by Rice can be ready-madely used by the aspirants in the examination hall. So once the core logic is done, let's directly jump or dive into the topic. Let's start the topic like every day we do with why in news. Recently, we see a biennial report by UNFCCC. One report reveals that over 20% of India's emission come from industry, with nearly 40% falling under the poorly defined non-specific industry outside major decarbonization framework. Seems like a tongue twister, right? 20% of India's emission falling under 40% of non-specific industries. You need not to worry about. We will detailedly see all these points, and I will hope, and I'm pretty sure that after watching this video, you will have a complete idea about this thing. Now, once the context is done, knowing that 20% of India's emission is done by 40% who are being categorized as non-specific industries, which has been pointed out by the BTR, the report of one. It is the context. Now, introduction. If you have to write an introduction on the same topic, the introduction might look like this, where you can say rapid industrial growth under the idea of Make in India and overall arching of Viksit Bharat must be balanced with climate goal also, because that ensures the sustainability of those goals. But the current mitigation framework which is in place somewhere leaves significant emission sources uncovered. Those who are emerging or somewhere releasing those sources, these gases, these greenhouse gases, or these harmful gases are somewhere outside the scope of authority. You get a fair idea through introduction. Now, let's detail wise see what are the key findings by the industrial sector or India's emission profile. What are the key findings of that report? The report says industrial sector contributes 20% of India's greenhouse gas emission. Now link this with this tongue twister of 2040. This 20% is out of total greenhouse emission made by India is from industrial sector. Manufacturing sector fuels consumption around nearly 13%. Industrial process and product uses contribute around 9% of emission. alongside industrial emission are rising with high economic growth and urbanization. So from these data, from 20 plus 13 plus 9, we get 33, 42, around in the 42 or 50%, we get to see industrial sector somewhere contributes maximum to the greenhouse gas emission. Now, among this 20% in the industrial sector, which industries does maximum contribute to this greenhouse gas emission? We see industry is the key driver of growth, job and energy demand. Giving a fair idea about why industrial sector matter. Industrial decarbonization is essential to achieve net zero by 2070, because as they are the powerhouse of energy demand, we get to see, once we assure that these high demand powerhouse are satisfied with sustainable energy, or somewhere not releasing those gases, greenhouse gases, we can surely make assured that we reach our target by 2070. Now, sustainable industrial growth will determine India's climate development balance. Done. Now the important part, why the emission puzzled? The article identifies, the report identifies that sector accounts of nearly 55% of industrial emission. This, and nearly 40% of emission fall under the vague categorization of non-specific industries. Those industries which are not specified contribute somewhere 40% of that 20%. Therefore, in absolute term, we get to see around 8% there is contribution by non-specific industries. The persistence of the category reflect a major policy blind spot. Okay, we have now understood there is a major challenge into place, which we will see categorically into the challenges part. Before that, let's discover or somewhere revise India's existing industrial decarbonization framework in place. And then we will see why it is falling short to somewhere address this kind of problem, which has been pointed out by this BTR report, BTR1. The first would be the trade of performance trade scheme, PAT scheme, under which the improve energy efficiency through sector specific energy consumption reduction target. There is a target given to each specific sector, and while performing or adherence to the target, they get somewhere called a certificate called ECERTS. ESCERTS. It covers majorly energy intensive sectors such as power, steel, cement and fertilizer. But once they have those actions in place, performance action tradable things in place, they get a energy saving certificate, which can be then traded or can be used in market, can be earned money from it. But we have seen that over the period of time, we have shifted from PAT to carbon credit trading scheme, where under this, before in the PAT, where we have seen specific targets, here we get reduced emission intensity through a carbon market mechanism, which covers major industrial emitters such as steel, cement, aluminum and textile. It somewhere rewards the industry in place, the overall industry that outperforms the prescribed emission benchmark. So it is somewhere setting a higher benchmark in terms of plus sign above the benchmark. This was not the case in PAT scheme. Now, once we have understood these two schemes at very briefly, now let's see what are the challenges associated with the current model. The first is the limited sectoral coverage. A large share of industrial emission remain outside the purview of either PAT or CCTS framework. The next is lack of granular data, minute data, where the idea of non-specific industry does not have any category or conceal that actually emission source is from, what it is actual emission source. The next is weak monitoring and accountability, where we see Not only categorization, but the monitoring aspect is also weak, where poor sectoral and dis disaggregation somewhere hampers the effective policy evaluation. Next would be the policy and regulation gaps in place. Unidentified sector like this somewhere remain outside the target mitigation efforts done by the current government or the current powers. Next is growth climate disconnect. Again, industrial expansion is happening, but it is not fully aligned with the commitment of India in the global forum in form of climate mitigation planning. And it somewhere against risks the net zero commitment done by the India in the global summits, in global forums, where excluding major emitter could somewhere, because again 8%, excluding those 8% somewhere weakens India's decarbonization pathway. Before moving on to the way forward, I would like to point out few things, that here we the article and our article also has somewhere specifically pointed out the problems in India's system. We have not seen or have not discovered or have not discussed about the problems which exist in multilateral forum in the international organization. For that we will have a detailed discussion on some other videos, but today we will see it from the India's perspective, keeping importance to the domestic market only. Now, the way forward, we should have a disaggregated non-specific industry, where we would identify those emitters who are intensive and make a subsector for target and policy intervention. We will somewhere remember there was lack of expansion. We will expand PAT and CCTS coverage, so as to somewhere bring all those industries which are now specified as non-specific. We should develop a sector specific roadmap which should be tailor made for each sector, creating customized decarbonized pathway for different industries. And somewhere strengthen emission monitoring, where establish robust real time industrial database is in place, so as to monitor who are emitting what. We should improve climate reporting also, so as to make the process more transferable, more accountable, and disaggregated emission interventions. There should be a promotion of green technology in place, because it is complement, not complementary but substitute. Once we get into green energy, green technologies, we see automatic reduction of greenhouse gases. Therefore, accelerating adoption of green hydrogen, renewable electrification, CCUS, carbon capturing units, and circular economy model will ensure there is less emission of greenhouse gases. Integrated climate and industrial policies align industrial growth initiative with the India's net zero strategy. And 8, the last way forward would be in strengthening India's institutional coordination. Improve coordination among multiple ministries, and not only that, specifically Ministry of Earth and Climate Change, Power Ministry, Heavy Ministry, and keeping Niti Aayog on the loop, or making it also integrate into the meeting, so as to get a holistic idea of all things. Once the way forward is done, now we can draw a conclusion, a exclusive conclusion, which will again somewhere portray the same idea which has been stated in the body part. So the conclusion can be stated like this: achieving net zero by 2070 requires expanding industrial decarbonization beyond traditional sector. But that can be only possible through better data, broader policy coverage, and comprehensive emission governance. Again, the same idea which has been portrayed in the body, but onto a different, through a different language. With that, I would conclude today's session. I would hope this short session was indeed helpful for your preparation. And if you think so, I would like you to like this video and subscribe to Rice IAS YouTube channel, so as that you get more updated videos like this. And yes, I would again repeat, those who are wondering that from where you can get the free PDF of this content. It is available in Rise IAS website in absolutely free terms. With this, I would again thank you all. Keep preparing.